And welcome to another show of Sports Talk for You. My name is Aaron Bell. I am your host. I have my co-host Armand Ely and Adam Parker with us. We are
Morning.
joined by a special guest today. He used to be a news anchor here in Wichita, Kansas. Now he is in Charlotte, North Carolina. He covers the Panthers and does the news down there. So we want to welcome Will Kunkel with us. Hello, Will.
How you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me, man. It's nice
We
to see some familiar faces from social media.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you being with us today. And we know there's a lot to talk about with Carolina football right now. Christian McCaffrey just signed one of the richest deals in NFL history for a running back, which is just outrageous, $16 million a year. And what are fans thinking right now, and what's the whole energy level there in Charlotte?
I mean, cautious optimism, I think, is the right word. You want to have good players in your team. That's how you have a good team. But you want it to be a running back. You want it to be for the richest amount of money, the most amount of money for a running back in NFL history. 4 years, $60 million, $16 million a year. I mean, you got to look at it in regards to Christian McCaffrey is different than any other running back that's ever really played the position. He's utilized as a receiver, as a running back, a tailback, a slot back, wing back, you name it. He's utilized as all of them. So he is different than Ezekiel Elliott in that manner, where Ezekiel's pretty much just a running back. But it's cautious optimism. There's a lot of changes here: new head coach, new ownership, new quarterback, new training camp facility. Thomas Davis gone, Greg Olsen gone, Julius Peppers gone, Luke Kuechly gone. It's a crazy time, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, were you shocked that they let Cam Newton, let alone Greg Olsen, go?
If you're going to break it down, I guess break it down, right? Don't halfway do it. Otherwise, you're never going to be any good because you got to be bad and build through the draft and get good that way. I was surprised at how they handled the Cam Newton because clearly there were no suitors for Cam, obviously, because then they went outside Teddy Bridgewater to $60 million deal for 4 years. And if you're doing that, then you're obviously not keeping Cam. So then the NFL said, all right, well, we're not going to make a trade for Cam because you're not keeping him. We know you're going to let him go. You're not paying those quarterbacks that amount of money each. I was surprised at how they handled it. I wasn't surprised they let him go. We haven't seen Cam be healthy in 2 years. That's a really long time for a quarterback in the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback for the next 5 years, you're always looking for your next quarterback.
Yeah. How do you think Teddy Bridgewater will fit in with this offense? Because with McCaffrey, and then he doesn't. I wouldn't say he doesn't have any weapons, but he just doesn't have the weapons that most NFL teams have at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I think you got Robbie Anderson coming in, great deep threat from the New York Jets, and you have DJ Moore, who had a 1,000-yard year last year. He was really good. He probably would have been a Pro Bowler if it wasn't his first good year. And he plays in the NFC South, where you got Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and all those other guys. Not to mention Michael Thomas was pretty good last year. And you got Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel. So you got weapons offensively around him. My question is, can he push the ball deep enough to make Robbie Anderson relevant? Because he can dump it off to Christian as any quarterback can and let him do work. It's a matter of can he blow the top off the defense in order to make those deep guys relevant. That's my biggest question. Outside of the defense is the draft will be very, very important for this defense. Let's put it that way.
With the signing of Terry Terry Bridgewater, what is the future plans for Will Ryard, who they drafted out of West Virginia?
Greer's a good kid. He throws the ball well deep, and that's kind of about it right now. He's a local boy, so I know they love him around here, and he's a really good kid. The game seemed really fast for him last year. He was unable to kind of slow the game down, make his reads, and have good drives and good possession after possession. He was able to have a good play and then a few bad plays in a row. He's not ready to be an NFL starter by any stretch. We'll see how he develops, but the game seemed really fast for him. But he's got a good enough arm to where he'll make highlight reel plays, that's for sure, and gets people's attention. But this is Teddy's team for now. I say for now because depending how bad they are this year or how good they are, they're still looking for a quarterback in the future because Teddy's not it.
As a Redskins fan, obviously we hired Ron Rivera for this coming next year. And also, we traded for Kyle Allen. As a Redskins fan and Redskins fans listening, what do we expect from Rivera?
Well, Ron's going to get that franchise in shape. He's going to get them in gear. He's going to be the GM as well. That dude will create a culture. He's one of the nicest, greatest men I've ever met and worked with. Just an awesome, awesome guy. And I think he's going to have his fingerprints all over that. Kyle Allen isn't going to be your future either. You certainly hope not, at least. He's not a bad stopgap as long as he takes care of the football. He's got to be able to take care of the football and have help around him and have help defensively. He's not a quarterback that's going to go out there and win you a ton of games by himself. But he's smart enough. He'll learn the playbook. He knows Ron. He knows his system. But Ron, you're going to love Ron. I promise you that. I hope it turns into wins and Dan Snyder allows that to happen.
Now with Carolina losing Kuechly, I mean, that was a huge part of that defense. What do you think the defense is going to struggle next year? Or do you think maybe they still have some weapons on defense that can help them push towards a conference division title?
Shoot, that defense was third worst in the NFL last year in rushing. So this year they've only got 5 starters back, and 2 of those 5 are Brian Burns and KK Short, who missed significant time last year. KK missed basically the entire season, and Brian Burns was in and out as a rookie, made some highlight reel plays, but wasn't able to stay healthy and be good enough for long enough. I think that defense probably is going to be pretty bad next year, is my guess. Not because the names they're bringing back are good, Trey Boston, Shaq Thompson, and those other guys that I mentioned, but there's a lot of holes to fill. They lose James Bradbury as well as a corner. They got to find someone else to play aside Dante Jackson. So I think defense is going to be a struggle this year.
What do you expect Matt Rule to do coming in? I was kind of shocked by his hiring. What was your first impression of when you heard that he was coming to Carolina?
I think I was like, all right, it better work, because rarely does the first hire after firing a coach work in general. I mean, 99% of the time it just doesn't work. So then you go off and go get a college coach that's never done it at the NFL. And I don't love the fact that he hasn't hired an NFL guy anywhere on his staff. Who am I to say what that means? I'm not an NFL coach. I don't have a clue. But having said that, I would have liked to have him have a guy on there like a Norv Turner, like Ron did when he came in, that's been there, done that, can help him along the way. But he brought in all of his guys that he likes, the guys that know him, and they work well together. So good. It'll be fun to watch. It's going to be a fun experiment. I promise you that. It will be fun between him and Joe Brady. But if we think there's not going to be growing pains in the NFL for a first-year head coach, we're sorely mistaken.
Yeah. Speaking of, I want to get to this whole coronavirus, no sports. How is Charlotte and the Carolina states handling this coronavirus with no sports? How are you sport anchors handling this? Because you guys just have really nothing to report. So do you guys even have your sports on the nightly news right now, or are you guys taking that time off?
Oh, yeah. I mean, shoot, we just spent 15 minutes talking about all sports in Carolina. That's new every day, with Cam getting released, new head coaches, Kirsten making the signing, Greg getting released, you name it. When you cover the NFL, there's news every single day. And as you guys know, I mean, if you're in the city of an NFL team, everyone cares, and it's the biggest news every day. So we're hoping today that we get to talk to Christian via Zoom, talk to Robbie Anderson, Teddy Bridgewater, Tahir Whitehead, all these guys on Zoom, which is just weird. But yeah, there's news every day. There's no competition is what I tell people, but there's sports every single day. It just may not be someone wins and someone loses type of sports. And we have NASCAR. We're the home of NASCAR, so we got all the iRacing, which has been a blast. I tell people I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I absolutely love covering NASCAR. The drivers are awesome. The NASCAR people are awesome, so it's fun to cover. It's one of my favorite sports ever to cover. So around here, that's been great, even though it's a video game. But you can gamble on it, so it's worth it.
Yeah, I'm a NASCAR fan as well. I'm a season ticket holder to Kansas Speedway. And, of course, my oldest son, Paul, still lives down in Morrisville trying to get into, a pit crew. There was some unfortunate news coming out of NASCAR with Kyle Larson, who's actually one of my favorite drivers in iRacing deal Sunday night. dropping, a racial slur, came down that he was suspended by NASCAR and Chip Ganassi. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously bad, right? I think no matter how we talk about it, we all arrive at the opinion that this is bad, it was wrong, and you don't go down there. But I think that there are a lot of conversations to have within that realm as well, if we're being intellectually honest. Like, there's a video game culture that's pretty gross in regards to what people say and what's acceptable. It doesn't make it right. And I'm by no means is anybody saying it's ever right. It's not like he was walking down the street and dropped it to you, Armin, right? So it wasn't that manner. So I think we agreed that it's not the worst thing of the worst of the worst. However, it's still bad. It's still wrong. But in the game of video game culture, if you guys play, you go on there and you hear things and you're like, what are these people saying? It's kind of like that locker room culture, and that doesn't make it right at all. However, it's a conversation to have in regards to that spectrum. But it was tough. I know Kyle pretty well. He and I did a lot of work together. What was called Mission 600, leading up to the Coca-Cola 600. We went down and visited some military bases. He did some work. He's a good kid. He's a nice kid. He made a really bad mistake. It was really stupid. But I think there's a discussion to have within that. How did you respond to it, Armin, it being that he was one of your favorite drivers?
Man, when I first heard it, because I heard it live on Twitch and whatever, I'm like, oh my God, did he just say that? It's it's kind of a mixed bag for me because he's my guy. I have a couple Kyle Larson gear up. I have an autograph hat of Kyle Larson when I met him in Kansas Speedway. It's almost kind of like, should I continue to root for him or stand by him? It's a confusing time, for me being, of course, being African American and a Kyle Larson fan, but it's something that, and I had to talk to my youngest son, he's a Kyle Busch fan, and
oh gosh,
and just explain to him how making it, what happened and the consequences of that mistake. It's for me, it's kind of like a confusing time. I am rooting for the guy. I do want him to to own up to it, which he did apologize for it. It seemed like it was sincere.
Yeah, I agree. I think his apology was sincere. I mean, I think, do you think I guess my next question would be to you or to anybody is did he say something really stupid? Did he say something that is racist, but is he a racist, right? I think there's a difference there as well. Would you agree?
I agree. I don't think he's racist. I think he just said something really, really stupid. And then not knowing, what he was saying, especially when it's being live streamed, I think he probably got lost in the moment. I honestly think Kyle Larson is not a racist. I think he just said something very, very stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the deeper discussion to have is about video game culture, honestly. I think that's an interesting discussion to have. And I also think that it sucks for NASCAR because they fought off this stereotype of being Southern and racist, which they're not. They allow people to have their opinions. It's a different sport because you don't have fans of every sport raising their flags in the infield, camping over, and being who they are. NASCAR's done a really good job of saying, come on in, be who you are. And NASCAR saying, we're not that, we're not you, but you be you. And you get to kind of define the sport, if you will, a little bit because of how involved the fans are. And NASCAR is a great, a great corporation. They've done some really good stuff. I hope some positives come out of this is what I hope. And I think that's what we would all like to see.
Yeah, and I've been to, few NASCAR races up in Kansas Speedway. I tell you what, one of the best sporting events I've been to live, and the people are just downright friendly. Mm-hmm. I've never had a single issue at a NASCAR race over the past, 20 years I've been going to Kansas Speedway.
Yep. I went to Daytona this year for the first time ever. I was blown away at that event. That was crazy. And everyone is a little bit crazy and drunk all the time, but everyone is super friendly. And there are just flags of whatever you're supporting everywhere, because it's kind of just how you mark your territory. And it makes it fun. It makes it it adds a little bit of flair and fun to it of what a NASCAR race is. And it's so different than any other sport.
Hey, if you think Daytona's fun, when things get back, go to Talladega. I've heard things are wild.
Yeah, I've heard that in Bristol night race are crazy, man.
Adam, it's like you had a question there.
No, I was just going to say y'all are making me want to go check out a race.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, one of the nights in Daytona, they were just hammered drunk, running around in wheelbarrows, pushing everyone around, laughing. I mean, the dumbest, like, what you think of, like, Southern fun. And it is fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've lived all over this country. I grew up in Connecticut, lived in Fargo, Wichita, now down here doing NASCAR. And everyone in the east part of the country has fun their own way. And these guys are having an absolute blast. It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Hey, now that you're in Charlotte, you were here for, 2-3 years doing sports, and what do you miss the most about being here? Because it seems like right after you left and Cindy Close left, it seems like just everybody from Channel 12 left, and now it's just Michael Schwenke and Melissa Schaeffler that are the only two ones that are originally there.
Yeah, I miss a lot of those people over there. It's a great station to be at. But we got bought out by Gray, and they kind of just got rid of everyone that they didn't want, / made decent money, / they didn't value sports in a great way. There's 100 different reasons, and Gray does what they do, and that's fine, and like whatever. I miss covering college sports just because college sports I love. That doesn't mean I don't love covering the NFL. I love the NFL and NBA and then NASCAR because the whole country cares. I think you guys would probably agree. Wichita State doesn't have a huge fan base outside of the Wichita area. KU a little bit bigger, K-State a little bit bigger, but still college sports is very regional. Unlike here, we cover UNC and Duke, but not on a daily hour basis. We cover the Panthers daily, hour by hour. We cover Duke, UNC, we run highlights, we talk about them. And people all over the country do care about them, but we're not in it like that here in Charlotte because they're out in the Raleigh area. And same thing with Clemson. Clemson, everyone loves Clemson, but we don't cover them in and in. But I miss being part of a college atmosphere day in and day out, but I love covering something that the whole country can kind of takes an interest in, which is cool. It's just different.
Yeah, you said you covered the NBA as well, and since Michael Jordan's got his ESPN show coming up, have you ever talked to Michael Jordan?
Yeah, we got to talk to him when the NBA All-Star came. He's not very upfront with his ownership group. He's not very involved in regards to talking to the media. He sold a big portion of it too recently as well. But yeah, we talked to him when the NBA All-Star was coming in because he was the face of that. It'll be interesting to see if he talks at all or releases a statement. I'm sure he won't because, again, he just never does about the Bulls thing. It's coming out in 5 days and cutting it down. I cannot wait to watch that thing because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy that ESPN was able to move that 10-part series up from April to April from June. That's going to be very interesting to see. How's the college football atmosphere down there with in Carolina? We know we got Clemson down in South Carolina. What's your take on college football in the Carolinas?
It depends where you go. So Charlotte is such a transplant city. Everyone here, and I mean virtually everyone's from the north. Because what happens is they screw up New York, Connecticut, and Jersey so badly with their vote that they now have to move out of there because the taxes are so bad they can't afford it. So they come down to North Carolina. So the joke is just keep your vote up there, but if you want, come move down here. So it's the financial capital of the world, or of the country, really, with Bank of America being here, Wells Fargo, even more than New York, honestly, the banking capital, I should say, not financial. But I say that because there's not, Clemson's big, of course. You have some App State's pretty big. Other than that, it's Charlotte in particular is very transplanting. So you got fans from all over the place. There's more Buffalo Bills bars here than I think Panthers bars. I mean, it's crazy in that regard. It's a lot of fun. But in college basketball, kind of the same way. UNC, Duke, huge, of course. NC State, kind of big. But Charlotte itself it's not really the Carolinas from that standpoint. You go out, we're only 10 minutes from South Carolina. So that's where South Carolina, USC is huge, like crazy huge. But again, they spill over to Charlotte, of course, but most of them are down there. Charlotte's just a very northern city, as weird as that is.
I know before the Carolina Panthers had moved in 1995, there was a big, giant Washington Redskins fan base down there because when Jack and Cook owned the squad, it was D.C., Maryland, Virginia. You spilled into the Carolinas. Do you still see a Redskin fan base down there? So those are a lot of Redskin fans when they go.
When you guys came in and whipped the Panthers' tail last year, it was like 70%. Maybe not 70, but it was a huge majority was towards the Redskins fans, and you see that when the Giants are in town. You see that when the Cowboys are in town. You saw it when the Seahawks were in town. So it doesn't help that Carolina is a young fan base already because they've only been around for 25 years, and it's a transplant city. So all of that combined does not create the greatest home atmosphere in the NFL, I'll tell you that much. And it's not a great game experience either, honestly.
No, I do want to get to one thing because Adam and I, we follow the Cowboys. Adam's a big Cowboys fan. I'm more of a Chiefs fan, but I follow the Cowboys too. Do you feel that Dak Prescott is a $30 million quarterback?
If that's what he's getting paid, he is. But my thing isn't like, is this guy worth $30 million? Like, get rid of him, fine, but then who are you bringing in? That's the reason you're signing Brock Osweiler to $75 million, right? Because teams are – and Matt Flynn's getting, what was it, $60 million. So it's not as much about is that guy worth $30 million. You can find a million reasons he's not. But then you get rid of him, and you can find a million other quarterbacks that aren't worth $1.80. I mean, it's crazy how bad the quarterback position is outside of starters. Kyle Allen was a really good starter for 6 weeks last week. Look at some of the quarterbacks that have made it and have been really good. So I don't know that Dak Prescott is, top 10 quarterback, but he's certainly not a bottom 5 quarterback. He's certainly a starter in the NFL. And if you can have a starter in the NFL for 10 years and then build up around him, tough to turn your head away from him because you'll spend the next decade and a half looking for a quarterback.
See, me, I would go the route of $1.80. I'm not a huge fan of his. I think he's highly inaccurate when you need him to make a play. When the game's on the line, the guy can't do it. And I just, I wouldn't be shocked, especially now that he's getting in trouble a little bit for that party they threw with Ezekiel Elliott and the fact that he's not signed. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys somewhat let him go and find somebody else in the NFL draft. Jalen Hurts, I've seen in Oklahoma, and I really liked him. But for me, the last 2 years, watching Dak, try to lead the team, I just have not been impressed with him. And, if he doesn't have that Pro Bowl offensive line like he didn't 2 years ago because of the injuries, he couldn't do anything. And, you look at Russell Wilson, his line is one of the worst in the NFL, yet he's able to be a top 5 quarterback, which still to this day boggles my mind. But, that's just a testament to him. So, I don't know. I think could I see them going to the draft, getting a quarterback and letting Dak walk? Yeah. Do I think that Dak could potentially stay with the Cowboys? Yeah. But the fact that they've offered him 3 different contracts and he says it's not about the money, yet you're offered 3 different contracts and you won't sign them, really just kind of boggles my mind. So, I feel we'll be somewhat surprised on draft night. I don't know. That's just my little.
I don't know. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do agree because I do think that Dak's kind of in that. He's like on the fence. Like he's just kind of. Sometimes he can fall towards really good. Sometimes he falls to like, what the hell what was that all about? $30 million? No way. But then it's just my biggest fear if I was a GM is to let a guy go he's certainly a starter in the NFL somewhere. To let a guy go and then just you're chasing your tail for years trying to find a quarterback. I know the Browns, you can't say, hey, look at the Browns because they're literally the worst. But, I mean, they spent 15 years trying to find one quarterback that could start 2 games in a row. And they were drafting Heisman kids constantly. I mean, so it's a scary proposition as an owner or a GM, which is both in Dallas, to let a guy go without having someone lined up. And I think who's ever really bad this year is going to get really lucky because you get Trevor Lawrence. And he's the best lock, I think, since Andrew Luck coming out of college.
Yeah, I think that guy's got potential to be the best quarterback in college. And I know Peyton Manning is probably the best or somebody else in your mind. But honestly, that kid, I've never seen a kid just constantly just either take over a game or just, has that feel for the game to do tempo, up tempo. And when you think you've got him in a corner, the guy does something spectacular. I think he's a really fun guy to watch. And, he reminds me of that guy on Remember the Titans, Sunshine. And anyway, if the Cowboys, it's like if Dak would just sign that 1-year deal, and if it didn't work out, I would love for them to for next year, just trade away all their draft picks just to pick him up. Because I think that guy will be that special when he comes out and goes to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be special. I think you said it best when he said his feel of the game. I've never seen a freshman, when they beat Alabama a couple years ago in the National Championship, be able to read a defense, step up in the pocket, go left from right, go back to left and make throws. He's a really good quarterback, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. And I'm interested to see how Joe Burrow does this year as a rookie in Cincinnati, too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I think that would be real interesting.
Switching gears one more time, Will, I don't know, Wichita has now a AAA team.
What's with the logo? We like the logo?
That? Yes, we like the logo. Brings back the Wranglers, man.
It's pretty cool.
I like some of them. I could do without like the flying unicorn look of like a creepy horse fly. But I like some of the ones I've seen. I was so in love with the Wichita flag. I wish I kind of incorporated that a little bit more.
Well, it's just crazy because when they enhanced the logo at the party that night, I've never seen more boos for a team name that just got recognized, and I've never seen Wichita boo a team name more than my life.
Funny.
Yeah, but I think they've got used to it, and the brand new stadium is very nice. Took a tour of it last month. It is very beautiful, and hopefully we'll see some AAA baseball here in Wichita. And I know Charlotte. You guys have the Charlotte Knights, which is, I believe, AAA. Is that correct?
Yeah, Charlotte Knights of White Sox. Then they actually modeled the new Wichita Stadium after BB&T Ballpark here. That was their goal, was to use the Charlotte field as the model for Wichita's field.
That's neat. All right, cool. Well, we thank you for being on the show today. It was fun to talk to you again, and we're happy to see you again. And we miss you here in Wichita. I miss watching the 6:30 sports news and having you on there and talking about all the college sports and the Chiefs, and it's just sad not having you back here in Wichita.
I appreciate it, buddy. You guys feeling all right with the Shockers and what they're doing right now? You guys all Shocker fans? I know Armin, you are.
Adam's a big old Arizona fan.
I'm feeling pretty good.
So,
Sean Miller about to go to jail or what?
Hey, you know what? I'm trying to figure that one out because I still can't figure that one out. Because, you look at last year, 2 years ago, no recruits coming in. Then last year, all of a sudden, you got a top 5 recruiting class. And then this year, he can't do anything. And then the HBO special, that's the scheme with that guy, he's saying that, Sean Miller's paying players. Well, where's the wiretap that ESPN said? And they haven't even produced that. And then all of a sudden, my hometown newspaper interviewed Book Richardson, and the guy just came out and said, did Sean Miller pay players? And the guy goes, not at all. So quite frankly, I don't know who to believe, but I'll tell you this, I'm getting sick of it. It's been almost 3 years, and yet there's no resolution to it. So your guess is as good as mine. I mean, what do you think will happen?
God, I don't think anything's going to happen. I don't think the FBI has any pull over these college schools. I think we've seen that, and that's why, like, when you watch that Christian Dawkins was their main target. Absolutely not. They did not do all that work. They looked so bad in that documentary. They looked so incompetent. They didn't have a clue what they were doing. They were so over their head. And then you give federal money to these schools, and these schools do what they do. Good luck. Hence, they got Christian Dawkins. Like, neat.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You know what's shocking about that? Yeah, you want to know what was shocking about that whole thing? And my hometown newspaper guys were talking about it. It seemed like the undercover FBI guy was actually trying to force him to break the law.
100%.
It's not like he was doing it, you know, or they had record of him doing it. The guy just kept pushing him. Hey, why don't you pay this person or do this? And you can't do that, in my opinion.
It's entrapment because he said he didn't want to do it. He wasn't going to pay the coaches. And the guy was like, no, we want the coaches. We want the coaches. And the guy's like, this guy's an idiot. So, I mean, you're entrapping the coaches and you're entrapping Christian.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, that's why I don't think anything's going to happen. Should something happen to Sean Miller? Probably. You know, if something does, you know, I'm not one of those fans that's so ignorant to the fact that his hands are like totally clean, you know, but I just feel the FBI and the judge, everything just kind of screwed it all up, you know. And then I also love that KU's got, you know, busted with text messages saying, did you get that payment, you know, and nothing's happened to them. So I think I'm with you. It's just going to be one big slap on the wrist, and that's it.
Yep, I agree with you guys.
All right. Well, thanks, Will, for being on. We hope you stay safe there in Charlotte and stay in your house and stay away from all this coronavirus stuff.
Appreciate it, boys. You too, and good luck to getting sports back quickly, and hopefully you guys can enjoy some baseball in that stadium. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will, for coming on, man. Good to see you again, bud.
Take care, boys.
All right, that's going to do it for our show today. We want to thank Will Kunkel for being on. We miss him here in Wichita, and we wish him the best of luck in Charlotte. So please go ahead and like our video and subscribe on the bottom right of your screen. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you.